Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. In case you haven't heard, the U.S. bishops launched a national Eucharistic Revival campaign, which will culminate next summer in July, specifically in Indianapolis. They are concerned now, not decades ago, now, with a decided lack of belief in the real presence of our blessed Lord in the Eucharist. Recent polls continue to show most Catholics either don't know that teaching or do know it and reject it. That's what 60 years accomplishes of talking about social justice instead of the faith, and moving the tabernacle out of the center of the altar, and having old ladies in their finest jeans and t-shirts distribute Holy Communion. It's also what allowing hundreds, and over the years, thousands of supposedly Catholic politicians who support child killing does. Why believe something when practically everyone, including the leaders, don't? Let's get into the plan of the bishops a little bit here for perspective. A plan being billed as the reigniting of belief in the Eucharist. Remember, this whole thing came up because faithful Catholics were demanding the bishops do something and take a stand and stop allowing Joe Biden, as well as many others, to receive Holy Communion. That was the entire impetus for this entire initiative. It came about in the November 2021 bishops' meeting in Baltimore, where we had to sue to have our rally, a meeting where the entire media was looking to see if they would indeed forbid him and Nancy and all the rest. Of course they didn't. They could have just come and interviewed us, and we told them they ain't going to do that. What they did instead was dream up this whole thing with the gigantic price tag of tens of millions of dollars as a way to placate the masses, the mob, with their torches and their pitchforks. Since the meeting, even one of the bishops stood up and said it was scandalous, his word, to try and raise that kind of money for this. It was $28 million originally. The bishops and their teams have since scaled things back a bit because it is an outrageous amount of money. However, a clamor has begun among the faithful that the cost to attend in Indy next summer is simply out of touch. It's hundreds of dollars for a full ticket for admission, and that does not take into account any travel, food, or hotel for those who don't live nearby Indianapolis. The average family would drop between $1,000 and $2,000 to attend the weekend. And that reality in these days of Bidenomics is giving great pause. They're planning on 80,000 attendees from around the country, but with that anticipated layout of money, it's pretty definite the national revival will be largely regional. So the whole event is something of a mystery, born out of a desire to quell the angry mob, put up some front, however ineffective, to combat Biden's sacrilege, throw together an initial budget of almost $30 million, then scale that back, and then charge families hundreds and hundreds of dollars simply to get in the doors. Way too costly, nowhere near robust enough, still watered down, so it's insufficient. And when everyone goes home from Indy, Joe Biden will still receive Holy Communion the next Sunday. So really, what's the point of all this? There are just too many mixed signals. Look, we really believe this. Well, yeah, but you don't believe it enough to prevent sacrilege, not enough to actually obey Canon 212, which says people like Biden are not allowed to receive Holy Communion, but the bishops just ignore that. So to whatever degree they believe, it's pretty darn clear they don't believe enough. Nothing will change on the parish level, which is where all of it needs to happen. Tabernacles will not suddenly be moved back when people come back from Indianapolis. Communion in the hand will stay in place. Biden will still be admitted to Holy Communion. So-called Eucharistic ministers will still swarm the sanctuary by the thousands at every Mass. So what's the point? This is the proverbial fix by committee. What could be done and much more simply cost-effective isn't done because we have to have a committee. We have to raise millions of dollars, and we got to make a big bureaucracy about it. For example, years and years ago, Church Militant had already clued in on the crisis of belief in the real presence, and no, didn't take a genius to figure it out. It just took working eyeballs. That's why the single most produced programming topics we have here at Church Militant, all the way back to the 4th season of The One True Faith in our first year, is all that. That is a 13 hours, 13 individual episodes. We also have an entire 6-hour apologetics class on the Eucharist, multiple Vortex episodes out of the nearly 4,000 we have produced. And then, to go even further, we produced this documentary a couple years ago, complete with its own little booklet. We showed this to you yesterday, if you happen to catch it. Nice little booklet here. It's the script to this documentary, because some people said, hey, there's an awful lot of rich material in here. So we said, okay, let's put it in a book, and that way you can go highlight the book if you want. We also produced this really important collection, Where Did the Bible Come From? It's a series of DVDs altogether. There's 3 of them. It's pretty, it takes about an hour, hour and a half actually to watch it, but we also produced a book with this one as well, another nice book. Simon Rafe actually wrote this book, and it's excellently well put together, and this collection comes with what we call our Bible timeline. These are the terms right here on this one side of it. See them right here, and then all the various terms you need to know when you're sort of studying Scripture. And then the back side of it, because they're really cool, is this historical timeline. Shows you various events going on in the world and in the church as the Bible was being put together. So all of this, and this is Where Did the Bible Come From, and this is the documentary on the Eucharist with its own little booklet. So get all of these together, this whole combination we've put together for just $40. We've provided all of it for $40. We put a little link down there at the bottom for you to click on and buy it. Catholics need to understand the Eucharist. You need to understand it scripturally. You need to understand it as its own individual teaching, the source and summit of the faith, as St. John Paul said. So we aren't saying don't go to the Bishop's Indie Revival next summer, but we realize from reading hundreds and hundreds of comments, most people just simply can't afford it. What we are saying is, whether you attend or not, this combo package right here is certainly going to bolster your knowledge and your faith in the real presence. That's the entire reason we spent over 100 hours producing these. So please, click on the provided link to place your order today and reinvigorate your faith in the Blessed Sacrament. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.